Welcome to Chapter Sass, the podcast where we deep dive into the books that make you blush, gasp, and maybe even think a little. I'm your host, Susan, and with every book, I'll be joined with a new co-host with their own hot take. From spicy romances to messy love triangles and all the glorious chaos in between, we're here with a fresh perspective to unpack the stories we love, question what we think we know, and explore how the book speaks to us. Things might even get a little sassy. This episode is rated mature and will contain spoilers. Let's get into the first chapter. Today we will be reading Our Infinite Fates by Laura Stevens. She's also, I believe, trying to do like a new pen name or a new name, so L.K Stevens, so just know it's the same author. Today we are going to go through the prologue all the way to chapter 13, which is Wales 2022, so like we do everything by years. And today we'll meet my new co-host, Rachel.
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here. I have been chomping at the bit to get into the book podcast scene, so I am thrilled to be here and to kind of share some background with you and talk about this very lovely book.
Oh, yay. Well then let's get into it. Just a reminder, everyone, there will be spoilers for this. I have not read the book all the way through, and Rachel has, so this is a nice little perspective on both of us because I'm like, what does this mean? What does this mean? And like Rachel knows everything already. So
And I'm in the background like, who means this?
blah.
Pretty much, yes.
So what are you drinking today, Rachel?
We are going to be drinking a very lovely Pet Nat. This is the Suzanne Cuvée Pet Nat. So this is a really fun style. It's the ancestral method of making sparkling wine, and it's very, very delicious. So this is what we're going to be drinking later on today.
I cannot wait. I also have some here for everyone who is listening. We just have our wines. But I love this. I can't wait. It's also like rosé, and it's like we're like right at that end of the season, and I'm just here for it. So yay!
It's 80 degrees. I mean, I'm in Philly. It's 80 degrees in Philly. So like this is like the perfect like last cling of summer, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm pumped.
It is also hot here in Chicago too. I have my Bears shirt on. I don't know what I'm saying. After this, I'll be watching the Bears. Hopefully, we win. We'll see. We won last week, so hopefully we can win again. But we'll see. Okay. Let's get into the first chapter. So during the prologue, we just meet a bride and groom on their wedding day. And they're like in the middle of like a ribbon joining, exchanging vows ceremony. And instead of vows, they're exchanging weapons. So nice little, my little spidey sense was already going off right here. I was like, why are we doing
this
weapons?
Is interesting. Yes, give me a knife instead of your vows. This doesn't
like,
feel
okay.
Just
And during this whole time, the bride just seems a little bit at unease. And then like their officiant says, like while they're exchanging vows, like their officiant says, "Do you really think I would not find you?" And then right then and there, the bride slashes the groom's throat, and he dies. Her vision goes black, and she dies. I'm reading this on my Kindle. This was about 4 pages, and let me tell you, I don't think I've ever been so hooked fast, like on a book, than this.
Yeah, I have the physical copy of it, and the prologue I think is like 2.5 pages, but like from the beginning, you're just like, why do I feel like something awful is about to happen? And then I honestly thought like I read the prologue and I was like, I didn't read this right. It's like when you read the end of Metal Slinger and you're like, did I? And like I actually went back and reread the prologue. Like we're 2 pages in, babe. Like this is not like.
I also reread it, like, and I was like, I just want to make sure I understand. And I did take out like some little clips. I don't know if they're important, but I was like, feel like this might be important. So one of them, it says, is like Odin's is the groom's favorite god, and he found himself drawn to this because this god is about like the past, present, and future, and is essentially like death and rebirth, and that is essentially the whole part of like this book. So I was like, okay, this god has to be. I don't know if he's important, but like the fact that the groom likes this is like, we're gonna keep that. And then the groom and bride say to each other, "I love you. I have loved you, and I will love you." And I was like, this clearly has to be important. It comes up a lot within the next few chapters, but this is like their little saying to each other, like, I love you, I have loved you, and I will love you. So again, kind of going back to like the God to like past, present, future. Again, I have no idea. I've not read the end of the book. I don't know if this Odin God is important, but um just what he means. I'm assuming Odin's a he also. I have no idea, but yeah, so
I shan't say anything. I don't
uh,
wanna ruin anything for you.
so
I love
then
like well, just as like an aside, I love reading books where they have like sayings. Like when they have something that's like their callback that like
yes,
goes through the theme. I love that. Like give me like your repetition. Like give me like your like inner secret that no one else knows. Like I
yes.
love that. I feel like
Uh,
it like really forms the bond.
I agree. I love and they do mention it a few times throughout the book, and I try to every single time they said it, I try to be like, "Oh, let's just go back to this because this means like it's them. Like it was truly them." So now we're in El Salvador and we're in 2004, and there are two families and they're sitting at the dinner table. Essentially, the two families are they're copying Romeo and Juliet, and they're like the Montague and Capulets. But instead, they're the Sola family and the Quinones. Adele's Sola, she is approaching her 18th birthday, and she's like scanning the room because she knows she's gonna be dead soon, and she's just staying very alert. But they're at like this family dinner for her sister because her sister fell in love with one of the Quinones boys. So as she like excuses herself to go out, she walks out and we learn that she's immortal, but she's still gonna die soon. And as she's walking out, Rafael Quinones follows her and then puts a knife to her throat. And she never suspected that Raphael, aka we know now this is Arden, could be that she never thought that this could be the person who's going to kill her in this lifetime. And it's very important because she's looking for this person to kill her in every lifetime very early on. And the fact that he was able to disguise himself and she like in this family, like when they're like the Montagues and Capulets, like the family like grew up liking each other, then hated each other over land or something, and then they're like the sister and the son are like bringing them together. So she's like she's known this person for like essentially her whole life and never once suspected that it could be him. So in this chapter, we also find out that Adela's I might be saying her name wrong. Her real name is Evelyn, and then Raphael's like real name is Arden. And for the rest of the book, I will probably call them by these names. Every now and then, I might do like whatever name they're assuming in that lifetime. But I think, especially in a podcast, just having like the same name is a little bit easier to follow. So just know every lifetime they have a different name, but we're just going to use these two names.
Keep it easy.
And right before Raphael slash Arden slashes Evelyn's throat, she says, "You still won't tell me why you hunt me in every lifetime." And he responds, "It's insulting that you don't remember." And then everything goes dark. So now I'm like, oh, what's the reason why?
Yeah. I don't wanna say anything. You're reading
No,
this for
you're
the
good.
first time for, like, 30
I
minutes.
hope I figure it out before the book tells me, but we'll see.
I I will no. We'll
No,
talk
no.
about it. We're gonna talk
Okay.
about it because I just, like, I don't trust myself. I
Oh,
just don't wanna say anything that I shouldn't,
okay. We
but
did say
I
spoilers, so
think
it's okay.
I think you'll be surprised, honestly. I was surprised. So I think maybe, I don't know, maybe this one will dupe you. Maybe you, go in blinded like the rest of us. Come out the
And
other
so the next chapter, I have here this is chapter 3. Actually, it's chapter 2 because I counted the prologue. So if I ever say a chapter, just know in my head I accidentally counted the prologue as the first chapter. But in this next chapter, we meet Branwyn Blight, which is AKA Evelyn, and she's visiting her sister Gracie, who has leukemia in the hospital. And Gracie is performing like a poem that she has read in 1000 Years of You. And in this lifetime, we learn that Evelyn like doesn't have a lot of family. She only really has her sister and her mother at this point. Like everyone's died. Her dad died in tragic death. Her grandparents are dead. So all they have is like she calls like a patchwork of families, like the postman, the farmhand, like these random people like have made up her family. And it turns out that Evelyn is the only relative that can donate her stem cells to her sister, and it's 2 weeks before her 18th birthday. And the stem cell procedure is supposed to happen in 4 days. So she's just like, all I have to do is save my sister. I just have to survive 4 days. In this chapter, we also find out that Evelyn starts to remember who she really is at the age of 8 in every lifetime. And we also find out that in Siberia, Arden like slipped that they made a deal a long time ago, which has sealed their fate. So she clearly doesn't know. He does know. Or I don't even want to say he. Also, I do want to put some like a disclaimer out there. When we speak about Arden, technically it's a they, but like when they are in like different lifelines, sometimes they use the pronouns he or she. So I might get thrown off here or there. I mean, no offense to anything like if I mess up any of the pronouns. There's a lot of different characters that are essentially the same character. So it's just like a lot of just like making sure you're reading the right one with the right thing. So then we go into the next chapter, and Evelyn leaves the hospital to go to work. She runs into her mother and Dylan, the farmhand, who's been helping her mom for the last few years. And they say very pointedly, we've met a few characters at this point, but then they say, Dylan, in his early 20s, loves Gracie like a little sister. I immediately got my spidey sense with Dylan because no one else was introduced in this manner. And so on her way to work, Evelyn is just searching for Dylan. I mean, I'm sorry, not searching for Dylan, searching for Arden. Evelyn pretty much knows everyone. They're in a small town, so she knows everyone who's about her age. And so she passes the florist and she sees someone she does not recognize. It's a blonde man. And so immediately Evelyn is like, oh, this could be somebody, I'm not sure. So she purposely picked, as she's going to work, she goes to a bookshop. She purposely picked this place because Arden loved literature and was drawn to it in every lifetime. So she's just like, this is her way of getting like a heads up, like, because he's gonna come or they're gonna come to this place at some point. And so while she's unpacking books, her coworker hands her a book, and it's called 1000 Years of You, Author Unknown. And apparently, this is a well, this is a travel journalist found this handwritten poetry about reincarnation in the Siberian wilderness. Apparently, it's decades old, and they have no idea who wrote it. And so immediately, Evelyn knows that this is Arden's book because this is just something that he would like have. So I was like, oh, interesting.
I love like the little callbacks of like what he loved and like the pieces of him that
Mhm.
she finds like even scattered through time is just
Yes.
so cool. But that little literature book kept me up at night.
Oh yeah, and we so far we only got like two snippets from this. Based on how far I read, I've only gotten two snippets. I'm like, can I get the whole book, please?
I
Can
knew
I
as
get the
soon as
whole
they
book?
were like, this is his book, I was like, this is gonna haunt me. Like long after the book is closed, this is gonna be detrimental to my mental health.
Oh yes. So then we go back. The next chapter is Russia, 1986, and in this slide, uh, Evelyn and Arden have been dating since they were 14 years old, or at least they've known each other since they were 14. They have different names. In this lifetime, again, I'm gonna call them by the names that just for so we can all just be on the same page. So it's a cold night in Siberia. It's a day before their 18th birthday. Arden is digging a grave, which Evelyn, I keep messing up her name.
Evelyn?
It's not. So I got the
Not
audio
Evelyn?
a little bit, and I was listening to some of it, and they say Evelyn. So
This is the Manon Manon like
yeah, I would
Evelyn.
have pronounced it that. I think that's my problem is I want to say Evelyn, and
Evelyn.
that's not how it was pronounced because I'm reading slash listening to parts of it too. Same thing when we meet Carrie. I was like, I would have pronounced that name differently, but okay.
Okay. Evelyn. I've been saying it wrong in my head
Evelyn.
for
Well, I think that's why I keep messing up because I want to say Evelyn so badly, and
so
it's
badly.
not, and it's not.
These guys are killing me.
So yeah, I'm a listen and read audio girly sometimes. Like if I could do an immersive thing, I love to do that. Sometimes I'll just listen, sometimes I'll just read, but this one I'm doing both with. So um I do have it. Evelyn, but I yes, I want to pronounce it Evelyn as well. So they're digging a grave and Evelyn suspects that it's for both of them. And so it's cold, so she's drinking some cherry liqueur to like make her stay warm. And then Arden like slips up and says, I've never gotten quite used of the way uh smiles are earned and not given. And instantly, for sure, Evelyn knows that this has to be Arden, because why would he even say that if this is the only lifetime he's ever known? So Evelyn starts to just beg, like, why can't they be together? Why do they have to die? She was just like, we love each other. She's begging for her life, and Arden's at this point. And Arden's responds that it will hurt you more if you knew. And then by then, Evelyn's vision starts to blur. And Arden tells Evelyn that he wishes that they wish that they didn't have to do this. And he pulls out like a leather notebook, aka the book of 100 years of you. And again, she's still begging him, but then Arden says it's too late to change his mind because he put poison in the cherry liqueur. So she's already dying at this point. And so then Evelyn asks, why 18? And Arden responds, we can't live, we can't, it would ruin us. So we instantly, I'm like, oh, what is he not telling her? I want to know. But they do tell Evelyn that she has lived past 18 twice before in their lifetime. So we do know that, like, it is possible. We don't know what the repercussions of it are, but we do know that it's possible for her to live past the age of 18. And Arden wishes that he could take it all back and just wants to live with her, but it's too late. The poison like did its job, and they both die in the grave. But before they die, they definitely tell each other, "I love you, I have loved you, and I will love you." And I'm just like, oh,
I'm honestly like, I mean, I told you, like, I haven't read this in a little bit. I'm now remembering how fucking painful this was.
yes, it was, it was.
God, I forgot how like, absolutely this is great. Let's keep going.
Yes, yes. So then the next chapter is like a little snippet of the poem. I encourage you guys to like actually read it. I don't know if there are any clues. I mean, they mentioned flowers. I do think flowers is important in this, but I don't know. I think they were just saying. I think this was just more showing us, like, as readers, like, they have to reincarnate. He uses flowers, and he says, like, or Arden writes like old roots and stuff. So I think he's just talking about reincarnation. It's very short. In my Kindle, it was like they separate into 2 pages, but I think it was no more than like 30 words. So it's a very short like poem. Encourage you guys to read it. The next chapter is Wales, present time Wales. And Evelyn is now reading the book, the 1000 years with you. And one of the poems makes Evelyn think that they hated that. Okay, I'm reading this exactly because I quoted it because I want to pull it from the book exactly. That they hated the way they had to become so closed off, unfeeling, but that it was less painful than the alternative, letting themselves love, with the knowledge it could only end one way. So this is kind of my sassy topic later on that we'll get into, but this is what Evelyn, because she's reading the book, she's reading the poem, and so she thinks in her head that Arden is always choosing to kill because it's like less painful, and it's than the knowledge of like loving and moving on. So just an interesting take there. And this, I think, does explain, at least in her head, El Salvador, because she didn't know who Raphael slash Arden was in El Salvador. And so I think in her head, she's able to justify, this is why Arden was so cold. This is why he was able to kill me. He knew me for all this time, and I didn't know it was him. Like, in her head, she's just able to justify every single thing. And I will say, I don't know if it's, I haven't read it all the way. I don't know if it's the whole truth. I do think there are some things that I don't know as a reader yet. So I see her point of view. I do see her point of view, but I also see it in, Arden has said a few times already that, like, I will love you. I will always love you. Certain things, like, he has to be doing this for a reason. Arden is doing this for a reason. So, but we'll go there. But going back, Evelyn, like, sees the part that I just talked about, how he doesn't, or how Arden doesn't necessarily like view love, and she's just like, in every lifetime, she has always loved. And now we, as readers, and we have to remember that, like, Evelyn is losing not just Arden in every lifetime, but she's losing her parents, she's losing her siblings, her friends. Like, she is, and she doesn't make it past the age of 18. So and then she remembers all those losses too. So for her, she has to get up every single time she's like reincarnated and choose to love again and not be angry, not do this. So just a very interesting way to see how someone like copes with this. Because honestly, this girl needs therapy, if I'm being very honest.
Let's go. Very true.
Uh, so when Evelyn makes it to the last poem, she starts to wonder if Nia, and this is the coworker who gave her the book, she's wondering if Nia could possibly be Arden because Nia does have some of the same characteristics as Arden. So the next day on her way to work, Evelyn sees the blonde stranger again, and he's drinking coffee while reading a newspaper in the cafe. And it strikes Evelyn as a little weird because who does that at their age? At the bookstore, Evelyn confronts Nina about the book, and Evelyn needs to be careful because she doesn't want to. If Nia is Arden, she doesn't want Nia to suspect anything. So she's trying to throw like little clues, hints are there to see how Nia responds. And essentially, Nia's like not responding. She's not responding to anything. But Evelyn does say, like, does this book resonate with you? And she does say yes. And so now this puts Evelyn a little bit on, like, she's on high alert. And then she's like, have we ever met in another lifetime? And Nia responds with, no, I think I'm new.
I loved that line. I love that. Like, I think I'm brand new. Like, I love that's such a cool I mean, like, I love the idea of reincarnation for, like,
Yeah.
because of this, right? Like, the romanticism of it, but, like, I think to have the wherewithal to be like, "No, I'm brand new." Like, that was like, I just thought that was such a cool line to have thrown in.
I agree. And it made me question that, like, if Arden and Evelyn are going through all this, who else is being reincarnated in
Going
their life?
through this.
Yes, because now I'm like, "Ooh, is Nia going through it?" Because right before this, and I didn't say it, but, like, right before this, the book talks about, like, they explain a little bit more reincarnation, how, like, your children's children can be, like, your reincarnated parents, how, like, siblings, if they die together, could be twins, and so I'm just wondering now if she continues to get reincarnated, who are the people around her? Could they
Mhm.
possibly be lost siblings, lost whoever,
All of
that
them, yeah.
yeah. So maybe just think like that. But because of this, Evelyn, like, dismisses the fact that she could be Arden. So then she sees the blonde stranger outside the window and he's holding a flower and he's smiling a little creepily at her. So she, like, runs outside to confront him and she's just like, I just need a few more days to save my little sister. And the stranger looks at him, looks at Evelyn and is like, who, like, what? And she's like, Arden, please. And he's like, who's Arden? Like, I have no idea what you're talking about. So Evelyn asks for his ID to see his birthday. And the stranger's name is Carrie, which I would have not have pronounced his name like that, if I'm being completely honest, but that's how the audiobook told me it was pronounced. Carrie. And he turned 18 a few months ago. So in theory, this could not be him. But then Evelyn starts to think, oh, ID can be forged. And so again, I was thinking my spidey senses are going off. The only other age we've got with another male is Dylan. He could be lying about his age if IDs can be forged. But I'm just gonna say I was like, let's just read, because following this with the narrator, I have to also, we can't just dismiss Carrie either. Technically still can't dismiss Nia. Like, she didn't know, but, like, he could be,
I think
tricking again.
I
Yeah.
I love this because you're also freaking out the whole time, like, as she's freaking out, you're freaking out, so, like and I think we said this before we even started recording was that, like, she's not necessarily an unreliable narrator, but she's an afraid narrator, so, like, her fear is your fear, so you're, like, now distrustful, you're like, "Is
Yes.
it? Is it not?" And I think it, like, adds a different element into reading, like, it makes it more visceral to be, like, this on edge the entire time because you also don't know when the world is gonna get snapped out from underneath somebody's feet. So it just really, like, puts you in it. It's
Yeah.
something.
I agree. I was here for this the whole time. So then Carrie starts to say he was just trying to flirt with her. And Evelyn is just really questioning herself. She was like, she just needs 3 more days for her sister. And to your point, she's afraid. So everything is just suspect to her. And so she just really starts to think, I have to save my sister, but she's really scared because in El Salvador, Raphael was, like, under her nose the whole time. And so she is just like, I have to make it back. I just have to save my little sister. So then we go into the next chapter. And we're in Nauru, 1968, and we find Evelyn and Aiden on a boat, or Arden, I'm sorry, I want to call him Aiden, Arden. Arden on a boat. In this lifetime, they are both women, and showcasing their love was not necessarily easy during this time. They do have different names, but again, I'm sticking to the names that we know them all. And Arden is sleeping and having a lot of nightmares. And before Evelyn confronts, like, or wants to like comfort Arden, I mean, she thinks to herself, could this time be different? She knows that this is Arden, and she knows that she's gonna die soon. And she's just like, could we just live happily ever after? So Evelyn tries to calm Arden in his sleep, and when Arden wakes up, or in their sleep, when Arden wakes up, Evelyn asks, like, what were you dreaming about? And Arden responds, nothing. And Evelyn responds, it sounded like you were tortured. And so to me, this is a clue. Feel like Arden is thinking or dreaming of a past life or past something. Arden just cannot tell Evelyn this. And so I'm just like, what was he being tortured on? Like, I don't know if it's a clue, but I think it's a clue. So I just like have that written down. And then Evelyn asks, like, how do you always find me? And Arden replies, it's like a tether that draws me to you like a magnet until I find you. I'm always hungry and it gnaws at me. So this also answers the question, like, if they're born separately, like, how did they find each other? Because sometimes Arden doesn't find her until literally like a few days before her birthday. And then other times, like Raphael in El Salvador, he was there her whole life. So just interesting to know. And then Evelyn says, and I have this bolded because I also think this is a clue possibly. You know how we're bound together? If you couldn't find me in one life or whatsoever, do you think that means that you would just kill yourself and I would die? I don't know if that's like if this person were to commit suicide or something, like, would the other one die? Or does it have to be the act of killing the other person that kills them? You know the answer, but I thought that was very, very interesting to
It's
say.
such an interesting position to be in. I feel like I have so much power right now.
Enjoy it.
I know. I'm so excited for you to like get into this book deeper and like cuz all the things that you're hypothesizing are like all the questions that I had. Well, like if they're not together, can he just like yeet himself off a cliff and then
Yeah.
wherever she drops dead? Like and these are I think just the natural questions that get prompted. So it's like it's funny cuz I'm watching you do this and I'm like it was me. You're me. Like we're going through this together.
Uh, then I also wrote, and I took this exactly from the book as well. Something flashes across Arden's face and then it's gone. So he does react to that comment, like if one of them were to kill themselves, does the other one die? And that's all we get. And then Arden replies, maybe, maybe not. It's never worth the risk. And I feel like this might also be a little bit of a clue too, because we do know that Evelyn lived past 18 twice. So maybe is it like 3 strikes you're out type of situation? I love this like world building because I'm questioning everything. So I'm like, it's like 3, like she already did it twice, so she cannot do it a third time type of situation, like live past the age 18, but like it's possible at some point. Maybe if she did live past 18, that's why he was being tortured or they were being tortured. So my brain is going in so
A
many different
million
directions.
directions. Yeah.
And at this moment, Evelyn knows that Arden is going to kill her. So she does it first and pushes Arden off the boat. And they're like on this like bed of corals, and the corals like impale Arden in their neck. Next chapter, it is Wales, present day. It's the next day, and Evelyn is at the bookstore rereading 1000 Years of You when Carrie walks in. And turns out Carrie left his home about 2 weeks ago to escape like a family situation. His dad was an alcoholic, his mom was super controlling. Evelyn tries to figure out this could be Arden, and she doesn't feel the type of pull that she would normally feel when she finds Arden. But again, she didn't feel that in El Salvador, so she's just questioning everything. And right now, all the clues point to Carrie being Arden, but she still isn't sure. So she like shows Carrie the book, and Carrie decides to buy the book, 1000 Years of You. Gives Evelyn his number. He also tells her where he lives, and then leaves. So next chapter, we're still in present day. Evelyn decides that she needs to visit Carrie and she needs to essentially beg Carrie slash Arden to not do anything to after the transplant, which is 2 days away. Like, could I just live for these 2 days? And so when Evelyn visits Carrie's apartment, he's not there, so she breaks in, and she's just trying to find something to confirm that he could be Arden. Something strike Evelyn as weird. Like, she enters the apartment and notices there's too much junk mail for someone who's only been here. Supposedly, he left his family 2 weeks ago, but he's only been in that city for 2 days. So she's just like, weird that you would have this much junk mail. When she goes into the like apartment, she finds some things like the paintings. She was like, Arden would never pick this. Arden liked his coffee black, and she finds sugar next to the coffee. She was like, Arden would never drink this like this. So then she goes into like the bedroom and she finds the book 100 years of you. And she finds that it's only on page 10. And so she just questions, she's like, this doesn't look like something an author who just like found their life's work, recently found it. Like, this person's going way too slow. So she's questioning that. But as she leaves, she finds a typewriter. And she's like, this is Arden all the way. Like, this has to be this is them, right? And then she remembers the drinking coffee and reading a newspaper, and she's like, this is something an old soul will do. So now she's convinced that Carrie is Arden. And so she's like, she knows what she needs to do. And so she leaves the apartment. uh Carrie comes back, and all she wants to do is like run into Carrie's arm, but she's like, I know I can't because I have to protect my little sister. So then we go into Algeria, 1932, and we find out that in this lifetime they are both men. However, Evelyn is only 17 in this lifetime. And she had a great relationship with her father, and their father was like shot dead. And she's like poor in the time too, so she immediately had to go to work right after the funeral, and she's just not coping very well. And then all of a sudden, Arden appears, and Evelyn's done. I want to call her Evelyn. Sorry, guys. I was like, Evelyn is done, and she just asked Arden to do it right then and there. But technically, she still has a year left. And I think this is kind of when we see that vulnerability where she was like, I have to choose love in every life. And so Arden does not kill her right now. And he's like, or they're like, no, you choose love. That is your personality. That is who you are to your core. Like, you need to like essentially toughen this out. Like, you have a year left to live. Like, you need to live it. And then the chapter just ends. So I assume they didn't kill each other then. I think this was just like, again, showing us more Arden's side where he is doing this for love. She just doesn't believe that he's doing it for
I
love.
think it shows his tenderness too, because he is so rough in so many chapters where you're like, does he like it almost makes you like question of like, well, like we know he loves her, obviously it's stated over and over again, but like there are some lives where he's so much gruffer and meaner than others where it's like, does he like really like
Mhm.
love her? And then when you find the tenderness of like seeing her broken, you're like,
Yeah,
there it is.
I
So
agree.
it's a brutal chapter, but I think it, like, one, humanizes him, it tenderizes their relationship, and it really shows you, like, how much they've gone through together over millennium at this point.
Yes. I agree. Loved it. Then we get to the next chapter, and again, it is Wales 2022. It's present day. It is transplant. It's the day for the transplant, so she's made it. She's alive. Dylan takes her to the hospital. And there was a time where Evelyn thought Dylan could be Arden because she did like lust over him for a certain amount of time. And she set up like traps to see if Dylan would fall for them, meaning she would like mention some literary stuff. She called Dylan Arden at one point, and Dylan never like fell for the
When
traps.
yeah.
Yeah. So Evelyn dismissed that idea. While at the hospital, Dylan gives Gracie like a flower press frame in the shape of a violin. And the reason why he gives her this is because it's because she has leukemia, so they can't bring flowers into like live flowers into the hospital. And he just explained like, oh, every time I saw a flower and I thought of you, I grabbed it, like let it dry, pressed it, and saved it for you. So like now he can give her like this bouquet of flowers. And when I say my spidey sense were tingling, my spidey sense were so tingling because I was like, this is a poetic thing to do. And if he loves poems, if Arden loves poems, like, so I am like, I don't trust Dylan right now as a reader who hasn't like read the rest of the book yet. Um, so we also find out that Evelyn does not have enough stem cells for like the transplant to work. So they need to take bone marrow from Evelyn, and she's totally down to do whatever she needs to do to save Gracie. However, Gracie currently has an infection, so they need to wait another 2 weeks. And Evelyn's 18th birthday is in 10 days. So she's not going to make the 2 weeks technically at this point. So then we go France, 1915. And in this time, they're both men. Evelyn signs up for the war because she can only die. She cannot die from enemy fire. She can like only die from Arden. So she's like, why not try to help my country in this way? And she's also hoping that like Arden is born like a German on the opposite side of the war and like they're never gonna meet. She's wrong. He's like Arden's like
Of course.
in in her unit. Right away they discover who they are. And during one of the last nights that they can be together, Arden tells Evelyn, please know I do. I do this for us. If I didn't, the hell we'll go through. It's like dot dot dot. Please trust me. Like, do you trust me? And I'm just thinking again, like, what was he dreaming about when and being tortured on that boat? Like, what was Arden like? What is this hell that they're gonna go through? And so essentially Evelyn's like, I trust you, I forgive you, like I know you're gonna be with me like in every lifetime. And then they tell each other again, and they're in the middle of like the trenches right now. Like there's like in the middle of a war, and they tell each other again, I love you, I have loved you, and I will love you. And at that moment, their unit like gets attacked. And out of nowhere, this woman just comes walking through and it's weird because women should never, at this point in time, should not be in the front line. But Evelyn feels like she knows her and like runs after her. And at that exact moment, Arden pulls out a grenade and like throws it at the woman. But like Evelyn reaches at the same moment and everything goes black. So, two more chapters. So now we're back in present day Wales. Evelyn wakes up from her dream of the trenches, and it turns out she has this dream often. And she knows this woman, and this woman is the key to finding out why her and Arden must always kill each other. It's a week before her 18th birthday, and so she's just thinking, I have to save Gracie. So she texts Carrie and says, let's go on a date. But she's thinking this whole time it's Arden. So she's just like, I need to have a plan about something. Chapter 13, present day. So during their dates, Evelyn invites Carrie to the farm to like walk around him, and she just like keeps keeping certain things for herself, but she is showing him like the barns that they have there. And so she purposely has a shovel there. She grabs the shovel and she hits him. Not enough to kill him, but just enough to knock him unconscious. She just essentially wants to keep him tied up in the barn and for the week until she can save Gracie. And because he's like a runaway, she's like, no one's gonna be looking for him. Like I can do this to save Gracie. And then at that exact moment, Dylan walks in and says, Evelyn, this is a little too much, even for you. Boom. We're going to end it there because I feel like everything after this now is going to be so more intense. And this was like building up to it. So we're going to end it there. And I was right. Yes.
That that was like such a mic drop. I like had so many trust issues reading this book. And then even when I was done, I was still like, do I know anything? Like,
well, I do. Other people are past souls. Like, I do think when she's like, Carrie is reading a newspaper, and clearly he does have a shady past because she's right. If he's only been in town for 2 days and he had all this like junk mail, like he clearly is lying about something. But like, I don't know, like he's someone. And then we have her coworker. Like, I do think maybe possibly all of these people could possibly just be like reincarnated souls, just like together. But we'll see when I get to the end of the book. Cool.
Yep. Ooh,
And then we'll go into our sassy topic, and then we're gonna go into our wine, which I'm so excited to
yes.
drink. So this is my sassy topic, and you might change. I know my answer is gonna change when I finish the book.
Sure.
So I want you to kind of answer this like based on what we know now. And it's like during these few chapters, we learned that like according to Evelyn's Evelyn's point of view, that Arden like kills not to feel pain, like Arden's not choosing love. However, it's also written that like she will always choose love in every lifetime, and that is why this is so hurtful. Do you agree with the point of views that they have? And again, I would say I think my answer is going to change because I do think Arden is doing this for love, but in our current narrator, our protagonist's view, Arden is not doing this for love, or she's skewed with something, right? She thinks this. Like, how do you agree with this point of view?
Need to be really careful about what I say. I Yes, if I was reading up at this point for the first time, I was reading this as like, well, he has to be doing this for a reason. We know that. Like, how can
Mhm.
you profess to love someone so much and so many lives and have to kill them? So
Yeah.
like I I don't think he's doing it for like fear of not being in love. I think it's more in like a love like of a protection. Why can't she remember? Like what has happened that like to be here? But I think for her, like to choose love over and over and over again, like despite how much it's gonna hurt her and how bad it's gonna break her heart, like I think also too, like him killing her, knowing that in the next life she's gonna find a family, she's gonna find friends, she will be loved and she will have people to love. And I don't know if that makes it any easier because he still has to kill her in every life. But I think like her capacity to keep like moving forward at that point was just like, I don't know if I was ever in this situation, if I could continue to do that. Like to have to live these lives over and over again and to have to leave people and people that you really cared about and then never see them again, like is a really devastating thing to do. So I think like for her character strength, one, to keep forgiving him over and over again with no clue as to why, to keep falling in love, life after life, and then to keep finding family. Like I loved her character so much just for her propensity to love and to care and to keep forgiving. So like at this point, like it is such a gray space to be in because you can play both sides off of each other, but I think, like, Evelyn's capacity to love is, like, the main foundation of the book, like, just to keep going.
I agree honestly with like everything that you said. I think this also goes to a good point. We know she doesn't know the whole story, and she's coming up with all these conclusions.
Mhm,
Sorry, excuse me. And I think it's just really good. We're just like a real life in general, like moral or like lesson to learn is like if you don't know the whole situation, I don't like you have to be careful with like what you think because she's thinking all this and she
mhm,
doesn't know why. She doesn't know what this deal was made. She has been left out in the dark, but all she knows is like what she's been feeling and
mhm,
she doesn't have all the facts, right? She just doesn't. And I feel like in our society alone, we do a lot with how we feel and not necessarily the facts. And it's just this is just like a great point just to be like, she's entitled to her opinion because I agree with you. She has to learn to love every single lifetime. She has to
mhm,
go back to him and love him, but we just don't know why. And I think that is like super important. And I think for her to sometimes think these things is just like, because honestly, I feel like even if she were to talk, like we know it's Dylan, I feel like if she were to ask Dylan, can we somehow figure out a way to say, like, do this to save Gracie? I feel like Arden would say yes or try to figure out a way. Not saying that they would figure out a way, but would at least be open to the idea. And she's not even giving Arden that choice. Like, even if she
mhm.
thought if it was Carrie, didn't even give Carrie that choice to be like, help me save my sister. And then let's do this, let's tango type of situation.
Yeah,
So
the desperate I also thought it was just so hysterical that she, like, attacked him in a barn and then tied him up, and like, the desperation you have to be feeling at that point, and then to also think too, like, can he be reasoned with? Like, can I
mhm.
reason with him, or is it gonna just be like, "I don't care, this is the way that it has to go." So, like, her fear, her desperation, like, the time crunch, like, it really just weaves into this, like, almost claustrophobic sensation of, like it's really honestly, I loved this book so much. I had not read anything that made me feel like this in so long.
Yeah.
So, like, going back and reliving this is I feel like I can't breathe, but, like, it's cool. Like, it's just it's
Yeah.
such a and the writing is beautiful too. Like, just the
Oh,
imagery, the
so beautiful.
prose, like,
Yes.
so, so beautiful.
And I also do have to give it to the author too, because I think sometimes when we do a flashback, flash forward type situations, I do think sometimes it's tricky and it's not always done well. And I do think it is done well here. Um,
Mhm.
because we understand, and then we're also going back, like we started late and now we're like in 1930, so I we're slowly going back to whenever this deal was clearly made, because we're going like when we go back in the years, it's they're lower numbers, so very curious, but like just the flashback back and forward, and having all again so many different character names, again giving it to the author, because like that's why I'm using two character names the whole time, 'cause, like I'm confusing myself when I'm like reading some of these
Well,
because
no,
it's
and,
like a
like, the
different
world
name.
building. Like, you have to keep your timeline straight of, like, okay, they were in Russia and then this happened, but then 100 years before they were here and then we're, like, harkening back, like,
Mhm.
keep all that straight with,
Yeah,
again, the means, the timelines, the things that happen. I was like, "Girl,
yeah,
hats off."
applaud,
'Cause
agreed, I agree.
not over
Well,
here.
can't wait to
Not
read the
over
rest
here.
of the book, see what I if I'm right or wrong. Alright, what are we drinking today?
All right. We're doing a little rosé, but we're doing a different style of rosé. So I'm gonna just tell you about this wine, kind of like how it's made, the kind of overview, and then we can taste it. I can walk you through a little bit on like how we identify tastes and like what we're looking for. So this is called a Pet Nat. So this is French. This is from the Languedoc region. So a Pet Nat is short for Pétillant Naturel. So this is the ancestral method of making wine. So, this is gonna be bubbly, it's gonna be slightly sparkling. So what happens is, the grapes come in to make this and they're crushed and pressed. They go into the bottle not fully fermented, and then they put the crown cap on. So the wine
Oh,
actually finishes fermenting in the bottle. So that's how the bubbles are formed. But you can see, like at the bottom, you're going to have some sediment in there. There may be like a little
oh,
bit of
yeah.
like cloudiness or yeast because it's not filtered and it's not fined. So the wine starts fermentation, goes in, is sealed, and then goes to market. So if you don't want to drink the sediment, like just leave the bottom 2 ounces or ounce in the bottle or strain it out. It's not gonna hurt you. It's just protein. It's probably gonna go in your glass anyway. But this is such a really cool style of making wine. And if you are not a huge fan of champagne and you don't like the super bready, like yeasty notes, this isn't really going to give you as much of that. Like champagne goes through 2 fermentations, one on its own, one in the bottle. It sits on its dead lees for 15 months. It goes through riddling. This doesn't really go through all of that. Like there's dead yeast cells in here, but it's not aging. So it is going to have a little bit more texture. It should be opaque when it goes in the glass. So we can crack this open. It's always the scary part. They usually don't.
I love the champagne, so very excited for this. Ooh.
I'm fizzing too. Just gotta let
Yeah,
it let
it
it breathe. Not
I
trying to, like,
I
wear this today.
fizz out.
I mean, smells great, but also not trying to, like cool. Alright. And I love how pretty the bubbles are. I love the color, that,
Yes.
like, sherbet pink, right? Like,
Mhm.
so pretty.
I only had, like, a red glass wine, everyone, so please don't judge me.
That's all right. You're good. You're good. So the first thing always we want to do when we pour the wine is like we just do a little bit of a color check. So we're just checking like to see if there's bubbles. We're checking to see if the wine is filtered and fined. We're just doing the color. Rosés as they get older will kind of turn brown. They get like this like almost orangey sort of color. If it usually hits that point, I would assume that it's old, young or like younger rosés are going to be this like really pretty kind of peachy color. And then always as soon as we pour a wine, we want to smell for health. Like this is something that again has been fermented in the bottle, but we're just
Oh,
checking for like any kind of cork taint, any kind of like Brett or anything like that. And it smells nice and healthy. So we can give it a good little swirl. And I love this. I love all of the like peach ring candy that comes off of it, like the watermelon juice.
yes, I can smell all of that.
It's so fruit driven, which is so nice. And because it's bubbly, your pairing capacity has elevated. Like rosé is really food friendly anyway, because of like if it has a little bit of tannin, just for like the flavor profile, the high in acid. But as soon as you slap bubbles in something, Like, it's easier to tell you what you can't pair versus what you can pair. So this is going to be like a nice kind of blanket overview wine. And then when we taste, we really want to make sure, obviously, I know you drink a lot of wine, like you're adverse in this, like, but cheers, give it a taste.
Cheers. Yes. Oh, this is good. I'm not like
Nice,
a super
right?
sweet, and it's not super sweet either.
Nope, it's totally dry. But
Mhm.
Gamay is so fruit driven as a grape. So Gamay makes Beaujolais. So when you go through like carbonic maceration, it's like strawberry,
Yeah.
bananas, chocolate, raspberry. This literally feels like fresh, like peach juice. It's a
Yeah.
little
No,
tart.
delicious.
Yeah, for $17. Like,
That's how much I found this at my
so
local Benny's, everyone. I'm in Chicago. I don't know if Benny's is nationwide, but at least in Chicago, it's a
I got mine, fine wine and good spirits.
okay. Yeah.
Nice
So
and
yeah.
easy.
No,
But
this
like
is so good.
so good, right? And
Yeah.
I picked this because you have so much back and forth, like so much past lives, like all the way back to like the hundreds, like AD, that you have the ancestral method. So I figured like this was kind of a cool juxtaposition.
Oh.
It's the oldest, one of the oldest styles of making wine. We have very old POVs. So I thought that they were kind of like buddies, and also something to like put my tears into as I'm
Oh.
reading and
I love it.
like,
I love again, guys. I'm drinking out of a red wine glass. I like this was the first cleanest glass I could grab before I grabbed this. So zero judgments. But
you're
love
good.
it.
You're good. I like the bubbles in this too, that mousse. Like it's very creamy. It's very
Yes.
soft. I love
Yes.
this one.
I'm not the biggest white wine drinker, so like I love when I can find a great rosé. I love it because for me, that's what I'm drinking in the summer.
Mhm.
My palate is slowly growing to more white, so I am down to try anything. But I am a traditionally red wine drinker slash like rosé. But like I love to find something that I could just sit. Like I could sit on my front porch and drink this, like on a warm hot. It's 80 degrees outside. Like this is a great drink to have.
Mhm. But that's I think the nice thing too is I think like, and I've talked about this in like a lot of the videos I've done, is like I think when people think about like wine and pairings, it's like, well, it has to be a holiday or like a fancy steak dinner. Like it doesn't need to be. It can be situational. Like, can you like listen, let's just like dream this out real quick, right? It's a nice hot day, even a spring day, a fall day, rosé is transcendent. It will do all the seasons with you. You have this, you've got a nice glass here. You do a little brie with like a strawberry spread, some like baguette, a couple grapes and strawberries, a little bit of goat cheese. You sit out on your porch, you're reading, you're munching. Like that is your situational pairing. Like this can go into life with you. It doesn't necessarily always have to be food, but I'm a huge fan of like when I train and I talk to people, I'm like, where are you when you're drinking this? Who are
Right.
you with? Are like, I mean, we watched The Bachelor every Monday at my friend's house for years. It's like, this is my Monday night bachelor night. I'm with my
Yes.
girlfriends, like we're hanging out, we're shooting the shit. Like, this is
Yeah.
mine and my husband's date night wine. I have my mom's beef stew recipe. I use this wine for that. Like, wine should be applied to your life, I think, in not quite so serious terms. So
Yes.
if it is reading a book that rips your soul out and makes you cry, then go for it. If it's a cheese plate, if it's whatever it is, wine should just be like a tool in your tool belt to use whenever you need it.
Yes. No, yeah, I love it. This is great. This is a great book. So glad we picked this together. But before we leave, if you want to, this will air, I think, of like 5 days before your book comes out. Do you want to tell everyone about your book?
I do. I
Do
do.
it.
I do. Yeah. So I wrote a book. I realized that I didn't even like say anything about myself when this started because I was so excited and so overwhelmed. So I've been in wine for 9 years. I hold my level 2 somm. I have a couple of other titles. I've run tasting rooms. I'm consulting right now for a couple different wineries, helping them build ed programs, private dinners, private tastings, all kinds of fun stuff, like like education programs and stuff. But I graduated from college with an English degree. And my goal was to always go into editing and publishing. And of course, like when you're fresh out of college with no experience, no one's going to hire you. And I applied forever to try to find something in my field to use my degree. And I took a job in a winery because I needed something to do at the age of 26 with no wine background, no wine knowledge, never even drank it. And worked my way up through the company, and they paid to put me through classes. So I use my degree in different ways, but writing has always been where I've wanted to be. Like I just enjoy it so much, and like reading and all the things. So I've written 14 books at this point, full
I
length.
was shocked when you sent me that. I was like, wait, I have to go read the rest of these. I
Yeah.
get an arc of this version of this book, so I'm gonna try to finish it before it comes out.
Yes. Wrote two full I wrote first was like a romance thriller, and then I did one. I was really struggling with my mental health, and I think that one was just more for me to try to like almost like put it on someone else to see it differently. Like I needed to remove myself to kind of like process like my
Mhm.
depression basically. And then I wrote two full trilogies, and then I started
Ooh.
a duology. The first book is done. The second book I don't know, I'll maybe get back to it at some point. And then last year I wrote three books, two of which are about wine. They're rom-coms. It's an interconnected series. So it's about wine and like Italy and an import company and a tasting room. So I was building a tasting room at the time. So it was a huge bit of inspiration. But this last year, I really wanted to get back into fantasy. I love writing fantasy. I love how whimsical it can be. And I wanted to write something like I've read all the Fourth Wings. I've done all the Throne of Glass, the
Mhm.
ACOTAR, the Serpent and the Wings of Night, Carrie Maniscalco's book, all of it. But I really just I'm like, where are my main female characters that are soft and tender and sweet? Like, where did all of the fairy tales go that I grew up with? I'll be 35 in November. I was born in 1990, so I grew up on that shit. Thumbelina was my jam. Anastasia, like I
I
wanted,
love Anastasia. Oh.
I literally just watched it and I was just like, where is it? Like, where
Mhm.
is that magic at now? Because everything is war and dragons. And like, don't get me wrong, that shit is so cool and I love it, but like, give me something soft. So this whole book follows Emery, who is our main female character, and she lives in this little village called Fate's Hollow. And every time a baby is born, a fate comes down and it bestows a gift. So this is called their fate day. Their gifts can range from anything that can be like speed or strength. They can control the weather. They might be good at dancing or languages or flowers, like any skill that can be given as a gift to kind of like excel in, it can be given. And there can be bad ones too. So like sloth, greed, boils, flatulence, like things that like no one wants.
Gotcha.
So it's anybody's guess. So Emery is gifted the gift of love, which means that anybody that looks in her eyes is going to fall in love with her. And this, as a child, is really fascinating and it's really exciting. Everyone's excited to see you. There's always cake. You always have good
Mhm.
grades. You always have friends. But as she grows, she realizes that, like, this isn't a gift. This is a curse because people now love her so much they hate her. They love her
Mhm.
so much they want to be her.
Mhm.
And it doesn't matter
I
their
haven't read
status.
the book. Sorry, I didn't cut you off. I haven't read the book, but I also feel like she wouldn't know what real love is if she thinks love is always this. So,
Correct. So as she's growing, like people are falling in love with her. It doesn't matter if they're married, engaged. It doesn't matter if they're four times her age. And eventually it like kind of spurns her from her village. So she like lives alone. She lives in a little cottage. She works in a flower shop. She makes arrangements for the world around her. And she is like a true Disney princess. Like she can speak to animals. They are her only companions.
oh,
Um, and she like lives in a flower shop. She always has her face covered because it helps kind of dim her magic. And then one day a man in her village comes in and says like, I had my fate broken, like my curse is broken. And she's like, I'm going to do this. I need to do this. I need to live my life. How can I ever be in love if I can never be chosen? Right.
mhm.
So her journey leads her to the Wraith, and the Wraith is a notorious thief for hire in her village. So if you need something, he can get it for you. If it's like
Love it.
busts, wildlife, paintings, ledgers, money, like you hire him and he will go and get it. So she and the Wraith team up. They become reluctant allies and they go on a journey across the continent. He also has a curse that he's trying to break, and they're looking for three objects to do this. So they meet vampires and wizards and goblins and
Ooh,
trolls and
I want
wildlife.
to think. I'm like gonna read this right now.
Yeah. So it was meant to kind of feel a little like Ella Enchanted
Mhm.
inspired with like this kind
Love
of
it.
quest. So they team up. There's a masquerade, there's like all kinds of different things, like, and it's meant to be I guess if I can say, give myself my own compliment, like funny. Like it's meant to be a lot of banter and back and forth. And like somehow it's like, in the Disney movies, like there is the insta love, but it's also like a slow burn. Like there's a lot of yearning in it too. Like their connection is established really quickly. Um, but yeah, it's just about the quest. It's about like finding someone and like coming out of your like loneliness and trusting someone and growing together. So, yeah, it comes out on October 14th. And this is again for the people that like yearning and fairy tales and like true love's kiss and like all of those good things. It's not spicy. The second book will have it. The first book is truly about them establishing their relationship. And book 2 is almost done. I have 3 chapters left.
Yay. I am so intrigued when you all are like, we're writing this, because when I was younger, I was like, oh, I'm going to write a book. And I actually, like, me and my friend tried to. And then I'm like, I don't think I'm ever writing a book. But
It's someone.
yeah. But I do think my love of books, though, and how much I read, I think sometimes when I'm watching movies, or even right now, like when I read certain books, I feel like sometimes I key on certain words or terms. I'm like, oh, I have to remember that for later. My sister sometimes will not watch certain movies with me, because especially if it's like a murder mystery, I do figure out, I would say 7 out of 10 times. There are times I am wrong. And she's like, I can't watch this movie because you figure it out in the second scene and we still have an hour and a half left.
An hour and a half to go, and you're like, nailed it.
She's like, can't watch these movies with you. But I do honestly give my how much I love to read, because I feel like I pick up on foreshadowing a little bit quickly. I feel like I do pick up on certain things. So like, I don't think I could ever do that if I didn't read a lot either. So I am honestly applauding you for you said 13th book, 14th. That is absolutely
14.
amazing. Yeah. I will be reading yours. Trust me. I have a lot to do, so it is on my list. I'm gonna read it before the 15th. Don't you worry. I can figure it out. I'm very good at throwing times together.
It's not
Um,
it's not overly long. It wasn't meant to be
oh,
long. Like, I
oh,
think, like,
perfect. Even better.
the word count is, like, just shy of 80,000. So, like, in
Oh,
print, it's, like, 374. I think the
yeah.
Kindle version's, like, 308. Like, it
Okay,
wasn't
that's
meant to
not
be
bad.
long.
Yeah.
It's
Oh, I
very
love that.
yeah.
No, but I also love how you were going with this with the fairy tale, because I do agree. I read all of those too, and we have badass females, and they're amazing. But
And
you're
I
right.
love them.
Yeah, but
I
what about
love
this?
them.
Yes,
Yeah.
I do. Is she older or younger?
She'll be 26. So she's
Okay, so
25.
she's slightly older. She's not like 19.
I'm 34. I
Yeah.
can't relate. I mean, even who I was at 26, I can't relate to anymore, but I feel like 26 is probably a little bit more marketable to some
Yes,
people than
I agree. Like,
and
I
she's meant
love
to be yeah, like,
I was sorry, I didn't
she's
mean to
meant
cut
to
you off.
be younger, but I feel like give
Mhm.
her, like, some heft, like, in the mid, late 20s. Like, I don't wanna read about an 18-year-old. Like, I'm
Yes,
twice her age now.
yes,
So, like, give me somebody that I can relate to
yes.
and us older readers can see ourselves in.
I absolutely love that, 'cause same. I will read these fairies and people and stuff that they're 18, 19, 20 years old. I will read that, but it's like, we, like, just give us slightly older characters, because I do wanna relate to them more, and it is harder when they're, like, 18 years old. Sometimes making certain decisions, you're like, "Ah, why did you make this decision?" But it's like, you
Yes.
just haven't experienced life to, like,
And you
make
don't
the
know, yeah, and or, like, they're making choices that you're like, "I don't even know if I can make this choice at 34," and yet you have the emotional depth to make it at 18. That tracks. Okay, that's true,
Yes,
sure.
swap it. I absolutely
Like,
love
come
that.
on now.
Ugh.
But
Okay, well, that's all the time we have for today. We have a family party later, so I will be sharing this with everyone. This is amazing.
perfect.
Um, we will pick up on the rest. This next time we might a little bit more, because my intention was to do the prologue through chapter 15. But once we found out who Dylan really was, I was like, ooh, we have to like end it right there. I have read like the next few chapters, but I just thought like it was better just to end it
Put a
there.
cliffhanger.
Yeah, like a little cliffhanger ending there. Uh, we'll get through the rest of this book. I will read your book also. I'm so honestly, I'm more excited to read it right now. I was like, oh, can I
Oh,
read this
thank
in
you.
between watching the game?
There you go.
'Cause there's halftime. There's this. So, like, can I read it between the game? We could get to that. But yes, but until we, I guess, meet again in a week or so. Cheers.
Cheers.